sleep.
How did I shift after 3 years of trying? That is a question a lot of people have asked me, so I will answer that today. What did I do differently from all those unsuccessful shifting attempts all those years ago? I did nothing, and that was the key. I was so preoccupied with shifting. I was constantly thinking about it. I was constantly stressing myself. I wanted to force myself into shifting. Not only is shifting natural, but when you force things, they will rarely work out. For example, if you really, really want to get an A on a test and you study hard, you don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't drink, and suddenly you fail the whole test. You don't even get a B or a C or a D. And then there's times when you don't even study, you just go into the test, freestyle, you don't worry about it because you know some stuff, it's not that important. And suddenly you get an A with such ease. And that's the same with shifting, at least for me. That specific night, I just stopped. I forced myself to stop thinking about it. I was constantly hoping, I hope I wake up in my DR. I hope I shift. Am I feeling anything? Constantly. But that specific night, I just went to bed to sleep. Not to shift, to sleep. And that is when I really, really actually let go. And that's when I shifted. I wasn't standing in my own way. That is what people mean with you're standing in your own way. If you really, really put so much pressure on yourself and try to force yourself into it, it won't work out. Just relax. Take a step back. It's not that deep. You can shift. It just sometimes takes a bit of practice. It's a skill like any other skill, but you will do it. So please relax, okay? Don't make the same mistake that I was making.
All right. Here is the long-awaited video that all of you have been requesting. Let's talk about the hypnagogic state and why I believe this is the best way to shift. So, the hypnagogic state itself is the transitional state that our bodies experience between wakefulness and asleep. It occurs at the threshold of consciousness, and it can actually help you reality shift, lucid dream, astral project, help with psychic downloads, and can also help increase creativity and intuition. Can't forget that it can also help you get into a state of sleep paralysis. To induce the hypnagogic state, you can listen to brainwave entertainment that will keep your mind awake and keep it cognizant. This will allow your body to fall asleep, but again, your brain to stay cognizant. And if you are a shifter, you know that this is important in attempting to shift because typically your body will fall asleep, but your consciousness will remain awake. Now, personally for me, the way I enter this state has always been accidental. So typically for me, I'll be laying in bed watching a show or a video, and I will end up getting tired, and I'll continue to watch because I'm interested, and I'll catch myself dozing off. Now, when I do doze off, I always end up waking up multiple times because my consciousness remembers that I was watching something I'm interested in. So it will wake me up to continue watching. And then I get into the hypnagogic state where I am basically asleep, but basically awake at the same time. And for me, this has when I've had the most results in attempting to shift and when I have shifted for a few seconds. Nonetheless, though, I have shifted multiple times through the hypnagogic state. Now, all of the information that I'm stating within this video, I have researched from multiple sources, but the source where I found the most information, I am going to link in my link tree in my bio in case you all want to go look for yourself. There's a lot of important information there and a lot of interesting information that you can find. Anyways, let's continue. We as humans are not aware the amount of levels of consciousness that exists or that we undergo during the stages of sleep. And this offers us a link between our consciousness and our manifested dream worlds. And what that means is the possibility of another realm in itself. But Rima, when does hypnagogia occur? This deeply relaxed state of consciousness occurs right before you fall asleep. From my research and this source in particular, it actually says that this has been recognized for hundreds of years, especially as a source of creative thought. and intuition by a long list of distinguished philosophers, scientists, and artists. These include Aristotle, Albert Einstein, and Thomas Edison. And if you want more information about them, again, go check out the link in my bio, in my link tree. It talks about them more in depth. Now, here are some things that you may experience when you get into the hypnagogic state. So, you may experience a slideshow of highly condensed, discontinuous, and bizarre imagery of faces, figures, animals, print, and writing. And sometimes you may hear your name being whispered, you may hear music, or undergoing temporary physical paralysis. Now, personally for me, I have never experienced any of these symptoms. That may be because I have aphantasia, but I'm not really sure. Hypnagogia is actually very common, and about 72 to 70% of the population experiences it knowingly or unknowingly, and many people are unaware of it. I have been experiencing this my entire life, and I wasn't aware of what it was called or that it was a thing until May of this year. In some studies, the interpretation of these hypnagogic images have seemed to provide striking evidence on the different levels of consciousness and also clairvoyance and telepathy. Andreas Mavromatis declares in his book Hypnagogia that hypnagogia gives rise to the insight that there are many realities and that what we call wakefulness merely constitutes one of them. Hypnagogia suggests the evolutional possibility of a further expansion of consciousness and poses a serious question concerning the nature of reality. So, for all of my shifters out there who are watching this video and wondering how it really works, we as shifters all know that to shift, you need to move your awareness or consciousness to a separate reality, to your desired reality. And seemingly, most commonly, there are two methods or two ways to do so, which would be awake methods or sleep methods. But now, there's the hypnagogic method, which I guess would make a third method and an in-between of both awake and asleep methods. If you are ever in this state where you are constantly catching yourself dozing off while you are sitting, that is you entering the hypnagogic state. If you are like me and can only go to sleep when you are extremely tired and dozing off, this would be an opportune time for you to attempt to shift. Now, you don't have to do an insane attempt. You can literally just say a few affirmations and you will see just how quickly it will get you to shift. When I've been in this state and saying affirmations, I have shifted within probably 30 seconds. Anyways, I hope this kind of explained the hypnagogic state for you. And if you guys have any more questions, please leave them down below in my comments. I will try my best to answer them for you. And I know I mentioned brainwave entertainment earlier on in the video. I'm sure if you look that up on YouTube, you will be able to find many videos and you can just play them in the background as you are trying to sleep. This is such a common question that you all ask me. Let's do a rundown. How do you get into the hypnagogic state? Well, I'm going to tell you what I do, and then I'm going to tell you some other things that I've researched that you can do. So personally, for me, I get into this state when I keep myself awake late enough to the point where I start dozing off. So if you ever catch yourself dozing off and like falling in and out of sleep, you're in the hypnagogic state. Personally, what I do, I'll just scroll on TikTok. So I'll be dozing in and out of sleep as I'm scrolling. And that way, when I fall asleep, my subconscious knows that I was watching something, so it will wake me back up shortly after that. When that cycle repeats, just know you are in the hypnagogic state. For me personally, I start to feel like a sense of lightheadedness, like I'm gonna pass out and fall asleep. It's weird to say, but I feel like I'm getting closer to like removing my consciousness. And that's just generalizing the hypnagogic state in itself. Anyways though, from my research, I've found that you can listen to brainwave entrainment on YouTube. There are videos, like audio videos, you can play them overnight. or you can play them before going to sleep to help you get into that state. I personally would recommend just doing things that tire you out right before you go to bed, or staying awake until you are on the verge of falling asleep. For example, have you ever gone out, like took a night out, and the whole time you're like falling asleep as you're out, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so tired, like, oh my god. Just get to that point, and you will see when you get into that state, specifically the state that I like, how I do it when I'm in and out of sleep, you shift in seconds. I've used that before, and I've mini shifted like literally within 30 seconds, within 2 minutes. Like, it's crazy.
This is what to do if you feel like when you shift, you're not doing anything. So one of my shifting friends just showed me a video of this girl saying that she feels like when she's shifting, or like tries to shift, that she's just scripting and like replaying a scenarios that will happen in her DR in her head. So what I want you to do is I want you to lay down, stand up, sit up, whatever you want. I've recently learned that sitting up actually works too, so like you can try that too. Now, you are going to visualize yourself as a consciousness first. So I've talked about the void method before. You're gonna go to the void first. So visualize yourself, embody yourself as a consciousness, as an awareness only. You don't have senses, you can't feel, can't touch, you can't see anything. You are simply awareness in the middle of nowhere. That's all that you are. And when you truly feel that and you're like, okay, it's time. This is the next step. Now you're gonna use your 5 senses, okay? And this information comes from a mix of Neville Goddard and Becoming Supernatural by Dr. I forget his name. Anyways, Joe Dispenza, that's his name. It's a really good book. I highly recommend. So you're gonna use your 5 senses, okay? You're gonna visualize a scenario that will happen in your DR, whether that's where you wake up or a scenario that you were really excited to go through, okay? You are going to embody it with all of your senses, okay? And when I mean embody, I mean marinate in it, bitch. Like, get into it. And you are going to do this until it feels real. Yeah. And just another tip, when you feel shit happening to you, don't let yourself get excited. I know it's hard, but keep yourself calm, because when you get excited, I've heard from multiple sources and from personal experiences, it doesn't work out. You get excited and then you come back to where you were. It's not it. Instead, remain calm and just bring your attention back to what is happening to you and your intention, which is your desired reality and shifting. Okay, my loves, I hope this helped. Thanks for my shifting bestie for sending me that video. Okay, bye. Happy shifting. If you feel like you have tried everything and still can't shift, watch this video. A lot of people have been commenting saying that exact thing, that they can't shift, and I always reply with the same thing. Okay? And this has worked for me, so maybe it will work for you. First of all, if you really, really, really want to achieve something, you are going to try hard to get it and to achieve it. But what I've learned from the past with shifting is that I thought, oh, my dog just scared the shit out of me, oh my god. I thought if I laid my ass down in fucking bed and fell asleep that I'd wake up in my DR. No. If I want to learn how to ride a bike, am I just gonna hop on right away and, oh my god, boom, I know how to ride a bike. I can do tricks on it, I can do whatever. No. That's not how shit works. Even if it's not physical, that's not how it works, bro. You have to get there. You have training wheels right now, girl. Use them. And what I mean by practice shifting is just make an effort just like I said earlier, if you really want something, fucking practice. Do something. You want to practice how to meditate, practice how to get into the void state, practice how to get in a good positive mindset. If you have a shifting journal, if you don't, fucking get one. Write down all your experiences in them, all your shifting experiences, and pull it out and be like, okay, what works for me and what doesn't work for me? And just get to know yourself through that. And let me tell you, I've been taking shifting seriously, and I have shifting experiences out of my ass, like, because of that. And I also don't try and shift every night. If I'm motivated to shift one night, sure, I'll shift that night. And if I'm still motivated the next night, sure, whatever. If I'm so tired and I don't feel like it, and deep down I know I don't feel like it, I'm not gonna shift. I am not even gonna try and shift. Like, I'm just going to sleep. And I know you've probably heard take breaks, and you probably hate that. But listen to me, bitch. You're gonna take a motherfucking break, because you're not gonna try and shift every night and complain of why you're not shifting. You have to take your training wheels off, bro. Okay? So, don't be so hard on yourself. Take breaks. And if I was too stern in this video, I apologize. Okay. Happy shifting.